Hello everyone, welcome to this week's game design blog post. My name is Scott Fine, and I'll be your guide. This week we're taking a look at Alak-Hul, the Darkblade, possibly the most terrifying strike boss fight in all of Destiny. As always, I'm going to show you the fight first, then we'll break it down and discuss what makes this boss encounter so interesting. If you're already familiar with this boss fight and would like to skip to the analysis, go ahead and skip to 252 and I'll see you there.
His dark soul goes screaming into the pit between the stars. Embrace it.
Alright, let's get started. Now the first thing you notice about this boss encounter is that it takes place in pitch black. The player has to dive into this pit where they have nowhere to run. You'll notice how difficult it is for the player to get their bearings due to the darkness. This sense of confusion plays in the player's senses, increasing the level of tension they are feeling.
Alak-Hul.
The visual sensory deprivation plays on our fears as children, specifically that unknown monster in the darkness. It makes it that much scarier. The music and Eris's speech are not helping in calming the player down. On top of that, the player will notice something in their radar. Unfortunately, their eyes can't see what that is, as it's shrouded by the darkness. Here we'll see the radar is going berserk. Bungie did this so it makes it difficult to track the boss. Because Destiny players rely so heavily on the radar, a player having a near useless radar due to thralls running all over the place is crippling and nerve-wracking. Here we're about to see one of the scariest things Alak-Hul does. He disappears and reappears usually right behind you, again playing on the fears of children. Take a second to notice the blue and yellow glowing lights in the darkness. These are the heads of the minions. The difference in color allows me to identify them even in the darkness, and because they light up, I can roughly tell where they are. Blue ones explode, yellow attack the player over time. Because they're so much smaller than Alak-Hul, the minions lighting up is a necessity. Without it, players would be completely lost and would be constantly slaughtered in the darkness. Did you notice that roar he made as he appeared? That roar has become synonymous with terror just because we know that's when he's popped up somewhere. We don't always know where he is. about to see is Alak-Hul change forms. No longer is he going to sit and just teleport behind me in the darkness. Oh no, he's going to charge straight at me and make it so there's nowhere for me to hide anymore. You'll notice here that Alak-Hul looks a little bit different. His helmet actually came off. This helps to message to the player that he's changed forms and he's going to act differently now. So what makes him such an interesting boss fight? Well, outside of the theme being perfect and the atmosphere and the tone, this fight does a few things different than some of the other ones. He changes form as the fight progresses. This mixes up the mechanics slightly, changing everything, and forcing the player to respond and play slightly differently. Most importantly though, he's actively forcing the player to continually move. This constant movement is caused by minions spawning from all around the circular room. Alak-Hul teleporting right behind me helps too. These factors make it nearly impossible for the player to stand still without dying. This keeping the player constantly engaged with only brief moments to rest makes the fight all the more interesting. Here you might worry that the player would get burned out, but because he isn't a bullet sponge, the fight only took me about 2.5 minutes, which is not bad at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's look into Alak-Hul the Darkblade. I'll see you next week.